Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. It's time for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie is a collaborative lawyer, mediator, and educator at Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation with offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us once again this week.
Yeah, thanks you. Thanks again for having me, Stacey.
Well, we are continuing our theme of the holiday season, which, as you know, is stressful enough if you're just going through the motions, but also if you're going through separation and divorce, it is a lot to handle. So today we're going to talk about some tips, basically, and just kind of helping families who are getting through the separation and divorce process. So we want to first talk about creating new traditions and maintaining some of the old ones. So let's talk about that and maybe an easy way to get around it as you're going through the stress of the season as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for just a refresher for our viewers, so today we're going to be talking about families who are just in their very first time that they're going through the holiday season after separation or divorce. You may remember, if our viewers were with us last week, you may remember that we talked about families who were still under the same roof but hadn't yet separated, and so this week, we're talking about families who this is their first time under two different roofs. So really creating new traditions or even trying to maintain some of the old traditions is really key. So we know that the first thing in planning for the holidays is to create some kind of a holiday parenting schedule. So given that we're already at December 13th here, it's likely that parents are well into the allocation of holiday time conversation and either just about to end up in court or have already figured out their plans. So for the kids and who's going to be where. So there's some value in looking at whether your split family is considering keeping some of the old traditions alive. Some families try to maintain that sense of togetherness for that first holiday season apart. So celebrating some of the holidays together. So mom, dad, and kids all together. And with that can come some maintaining of some old family traditions that you may want to maintain for the kids. Now, I do recommend that if there is a lot of parental conflict still since the separation, then it's probably best that you spend the holidays together. But it's really what you and your co-parent feel that's best for each of you and for your kids to keep that conflict level low. So if you and your co-parent aren't planning on celebrating the holidays together, maybe you want to come up with some new traditions. And maybe it would be meaningful and fun for your kids to try to come up with those traditions with you. So celebrating the holidays, of course, doesn't have to be tied to one particular day. It can be dependent on that holiday schedule that you guys created.
All right. And going into the second tip, Stephanie, you're suggesting that you try and surround yourself with loved ones for as many celebrations as possible throughout the holiday season. So why is that important?
Well, it can be really lonely during the holidays if your parenting time schedule causes you to be away from the children for certain important occasions. So sometimes parents agree that, for example, for the holiday period, for a particular holiday period, like December 24th to the December 26th, will be shared between parents such that this year, one parent is going to have the children for that particular period. So the whole time of the 24th to the 26th. And then next year, the other parent has the children. Well, it's wonderful when you are the parent who has that particular period, but when you're the parent who doesn't have that whole period for that year, it can be really lonely. So one of the things I recommend is to spend as much time with family or friends on the days that are special to you as possible, when you may feel the most emotionally drained. So this will hopefully help to keep you as uplifted as possible. Even during the times when you do have the kids, still may feel a little bit lonely. I mean, it's the first time going through this holiday without being all in one home. So you may go back to tip number one and try to find some of these new traditions that can help to uplift things.
The last tip we're going to be speaking about today, Stephanie, is to create realistic expectations. I bet that in some households, it's almost a competition with parents separating to see who can do more, right? So why is it important to keep things realistic?
Well, even if you follow tip number one, which is to create new traditions, and even if you follow tip number two, which is to surround yourself with people that you love and who love you back, there's still going to be some moments which make you feel a little bit out of kilter here. So the best thing that you can do is to manage those expectations for your first holiday together as being under two separate roofs, and recognizing that there's probably going to be some moments of high emotion, but there's likewise going to be those moments after the high emotion that are going to help you to get through. We call that mindfulness, is to recognize that the moment, that heat of the moment, being lonely, being upset, having some of these high or these difficult emotions that you feel, we're always going to have that after effect. So, the December holiday season seems to be one of those holidays that can be very difficult for families to get through, especially in that initial year, and may have to, bring some more mindfulness techniques to the family as much as possible.
Well, Stephanie, before we wrap up here, let's talk about what we will be talking about in the next episode, heading into, I guess the few days before Christmas.
Yeah.
What will we be talking to our viewers about?
Well, in part 3, we're going to be giving some guidance for families who have been split for a while. So not under one roof, not the first holiday together or separately, sorry, but some families who have had some successes and some challenges in the past holidays, and they want to improve that holiday season for their children.
All right, Stephanie. Well, thanks so much again for joining us, and we will talk to you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.